Welcome everybody to NFL Central. I wasn't planning on doing an episode, but recent events have caused that to change. There was just a big trade in the NFL between the Detroit Lions and the Los Angeles Rams. Now, the big things that this trade entailed were Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford and a bunch of picks. Now, what the Rams gave up to get Matthew Stafford is baffling to me. They gave up Jared Goff, a winning quarterback who's taken them to a Super Bowl, a 2023 first-round pick, a 2022 first-round pick, and a 2021 third-round pick. That's crazy. It seems like Sean McVay is mortgaging the team's future to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years. They won't have a first-round pick until 2024. Now, obviously, like I just said, the Lions are going to receive 2023 first-round, 2022 first-round, and a 2021 third-round, and Jared Goff, a quarterback who has been to the Super Bowl, a proven quarterback, a winner. Now, I'll get into who I think won this trade and the two quarterbacks in a second. But just to preface this happened before the Super Bowl. This is a highway robbery win for the Lions. I am absolutely shocked that this all happened. And so I'll get into all the details of this. As I said earlier, the Rams are not going to have a first-round pick to 2024. With the Jalen Ramsey trade and all the things that have happened, even with them drafting Jared Goff, they traded a bunch of first-rounders away. They keep mortgaging their future to win now, but they haven't even won a Super Bowl yet. So I guess they're moving on to the next position. They think a quarterback is going to put them over the edge. I'm skeptical. Matthew Stafford is not a winner. He's always put up great stats. He's really talented, but he's never won a playoff game. He wasn't a winner at Georgia. His best season, I'm pretty sure, was 9-4. He was a first pick in the NFL draft. He should have been able to do better in college. He should be able to do better in the NFL. I know the Lions are a historically dysfunctional franchise, but he should be able to do better. He's their franchise quarterback. Somebody needs to turn them around. But he is very talented, and I think in the regular season, Stafford will succeed. He will play well in the regular season. But he is in a division with Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, with Pete Carroll, who's a really great coach, and Kyler Murray, who is a young up-and-coming star, who plays a lot like Russell Wilson. He's got one of the best arms in the league. I don't really think I believe in Cliff Kingsbury all that much, but still, they could be a force to be reckoned with as well. And the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, arguably the best young coach in the NFL, if not at Sean McVay or Matt LaFleur, but he is in the top 3 young coaches in the NFL, and maybe one of the best coaches in the NFL in general. The fact that they think that Matthew Stafford is going to be able to win this division is kind of baffling to me. He's never won a division. Jared Goff won this division. He took him to a Super Bowl. I don't understand. The histories don't really make sense. I understand that Stafford is more talented, but that's not all that matters. It's really not, obviously. Tom Brady's not the most talented human being in the world, and he's got 6 Super Bowls going to his 10th. Probably is going to win 7. And Aaron Rodgers is far more talented than Tom Brady, but he's only got 1 Super Bowl ring and chokes away a playoff game every chance he gets. It's baffling to me. Let's talk about Jared Goff, though. Jared Goff is a winner. He's a proven winner. I believe that the Lions may have just turned around their franchise. Not just because of Jared Goff, but he is a big part of it. They hired Dan Campbell. He's been an interim coach for the Dolphins before. He's a good coach. He's more of a defensive-minded guy, and I love his intensity. I heard somebody say recently that he reminds them of Bill Cowher, and you like that fire. You want to see that fire in a head coach. He seems very determined to make it right. I think he was the best hire out of all the head coaching hires that we've had this year. Also, they hired Anthony Lynn to be their offensive coordinator. We saw what he did with Justin Herbert this season, and I wasn't very high on Justin Herbert coming into this season. But we saw what he did with Justin Herbert. It was really impressive. Imagine what he could do with Jared Goff. Now, I know what you're saying. Sean McVay, he was one of the best young offensive minds in the league. Why couldn't he do anything with Jared Goff? Don't forget the 2017-18 NFL season. Jared Goff was amazing. He was an amazing quarterback. He outdueled Patrick Mahomes in that awesome Monday Night Football game in Los Angeles. He played awesome. Jared Goff has the potential, and I think what he really needed was a fresh start. Also, the Lions, if they are able to retain Kenny Golladay and draft well on defense this year, and especially in the upcoming years, they got so many first-round picks from this trade. They could be a contender, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But back to Jared Goff. There are a lot of games that show just what Jared Goff is capable of. Probably the first one I remember was 2017. It was against the 49ers, and they were both wearing their Color Rush uniforms. It was earlier in that year. And Jared Goff threw 3 touchdowns, but you see some of those deep balls that he threw, they were on point. My favorite one was to Sammy Watkins. It was such a good throw. You should go check it out. Go look at the highlights from that game. It's highly entertaining. If you love football, you'll love it. Another game that sticks out in the 2018 season is his game against the Vikings. 5 touchdowns. I have almost never seen a performance like that in the regular season. He played phenomenal. He was hitting everything. He's very accurate. That was one of the best things that he was known for coming out of college, is that he's a very, very, very accurate quarterback. Another game was the 2017 season against the Cowboys. Played amazing in that game. Put it away. Showed everybody that Dak Prescott might not be the best quarterback from the 2016 draft class. And then one of my personal favorites was, like I mentioned earlier, the game in 2018 against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, where he outdueled Patrick Mahomes. He played awesome in that game. Had a rushing touchdown, had a bunch of passing touchdowns, and was very, very clutch, something that Matthew Stafford has not been known to do in the playoffs. Matthew Stafford is a clutch quarterback in the regular season, though. I will grant him that. I just don't think that it was a good idea for them to get rid of Jared Goff, a man who has taken them to the Super Bowl, for Matthew Stafford, who has never won a playoff game. He reminds me a lot of Aaron Rodgers in that way. He's really talented, puts up a lot of stats, but when it comes to crunch time, especially in the playoffs, you can't really trust him. But in the regular season, just like Aaron Rodgers, they always make the clutch plays, but it's something about those playoffs that just seem to be out of their reach. Another thing that baffles me about this trade is Jared Goff is almost never injured. He wanted to play in the playoff game that he was not the starter for against the Seahawks, but Sean McVay used that as an excuse to not play him, but he would have played if he had the choice. And then John Wolford hurt his neck, and Jared Goff was thrust in there. Won that game 30-20 against the Seahawks with a broken thumb, then went against the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field, and played one of the best games I've seen him play all year. Granted, they lost, but Aaron Rodgers shredded that defense. There was not really much he could do, and he played really well in that game with a broken thumb. Really impressive. Matthew Stafford, especially as of late, has had a deep injury history. So I wouldn't say he's as reliable as Goff. Goff is a really accurate, good decision maker. Now, in the years of late, Goff has not played his best football. And I understand that. And that's why I know some people are skeptical. But his potential is off the charts. And I think that the Rams lost faith in him probably the game that they played the Bears in the 2018 season. Goff hasn't really been the same since then. It seems like the Rams lost faith in him, and that hurt Goff's confidence. 2018 game against the Bears was the turning point in Goff's career, and I think a change of scenery is really good for him. He's a winner. He's going to do good in Detroit. Now, I'll give my projections for each team in the near-ish future. And, side note, for those of the people who think that the Lions will draft a quarterback this draft, I disagree with you. Dan Campbell told Jared Goff when he was going to trade Matthew Stafford and get Goff in the picks, he said that he was in the plans for his future. I don't think you would tell the quarterback that blatantly if it wasn't true. Also, Dan Campbell seems like an honest guy, and he seems like he wants to win, and I think he knows Jared Goff is a winner. But I'll start off with the Rams. In the near future, in that division, I think next year they'll make the playoffs. I do. They'll lose in the first round. I don't care who they play. I mean, to an extent. If they're playing a backup quarterback or injury-ridden team, then they'll probably win. But if it's a fair game, Matthew Stafford's not going to win the playoff game. He never will. I don't think. I think that time is past. In the years to come, Matthew Stafford, and I hate to say this because I like Matthew Stafford, but his injuries will become more frequent, more than they already are. And it won't end well for the Rams. I think they mortgage their future on a guy who's not really reliable, injury prone, and doesn't win in the big spots. And I don't think that was very smart. And I think they're going to slowly decline for the next 5 years. I think Matthew Stafford will retire, and Sean McVay and the Rams organization will be in a really tough spot, wishing they never traded away their first-round pick from 2016, Jared Goff. Now the Lions, this is going to be a more optimistic take. Now, there are some things that have to go right, of course, but that's true with any situation. I believe that the Lions will be a playoff team next year and will be a contender for years to come. But this is what has to happen. They've got to make it clear that they believe in Jared Goff to get his confidence back. The change of scenery is good, but they've got to be confident in him so he can be confident in himself. They've got good coaches around him. Great coaches, I would actually say. The next thing that has to happen is they have to retain Kenny Golladay. They need that number one receiver threat out there for him. They already have the running back, DeAndre Swift, on his rookie deal. That's going to be really helpful. He's a good running back. They need to bring back Adrian Peterson to keep mentoring those young running backs. But they need to retain Kenny Golladay. He's probably the most underrated receiver in the game, Kenny Golladay is. He was injured this past year, and I think he's going to make a lot of noise next year. But they need to keep him. And the final thing, and it's probably the biggest thing, is they need to draft well this year on defense, and Jeff Okudah, their first-round pick cornerback from this past year, needs to step up. The defense needs to improve. But I think if they spend 5 to 6 to even 7 of their draft picks on defensive players, build up that defense, we will be in business. Because the Lions actually have a pretty underrated offensive line. They have a pretty good offensive line. It'll protect Goff good enough. But they need a defense, and they need to keep Kenny Golladay. But yes, I think that the Detroit Lions, if that goes the way I think it will, and I think they will retain Golladay, and I think that they will draft well on defense, and I think Jeff Okudah, he was a first-round pick for a reason, I think he's going to take a step forward at this next year. I think they'll be a wild card team next year, and I think they'll be contenders the year after that. Jared Goff is a winner. Jared Goff is going to turn that franchise around. They finally got the right coach, they've got the right OC, and they've got the right quarterback. Jared Goff is not as talented as Matthew Stafford, but he has got the intangibles that Matthew Stafford has never had. And I'm really excited to see what the Lions do. As always, thank you guys for listening, and I will see you tomorrow, actually. Get ready for my Super Bowl week episodes. You will enjoy them, I promise that. And if you haven't already, subscribe, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.